Hello, can you hear us?
I can hear you loud and clear. How many?
Wonderful. This is Mr. Clifford from Klein Elementary in Friendswood, Texas. It is so wonderful to be able to speak with you, Mr. Mr. Dominick. I want to call you by your first name, but we got students here, and so I know you as Matt, but Mr. Dominick, we're so grateful that you're here. You're kicking off for us tomorrow. We have STEAM Day. And so we're going to spend the whole day learning about science and everything. And so this is perfect to be able to reach you and connect with you today. I've got a couple of special students, and they're going to say something right now.
That sounds great.
Hi, Dad. This is Blair and Arden Dominick.
Love you guys. Miss you. Good to hear from you.
Love you too, Dad. Good morning and greetings from Klein Elementary. We are excited and grateful for the opportunity to ask questions and learn from you about what it is like to live and work on the International Space Station. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to make this happen.
Oh, man, I recognize those voices. I miss you guys so much. Of course, a shout out to my daughters, Blair and Arden. They're at Klein Elementary and all of Friendswood for that matter. I know you guys have a bunch of questions you guys want to ask, but just like Blair and Arden alluded to, talking about what it's like to live and work on the space station to kick off Science and Technology, Engineering, Art, and Mathematics Week. Those are all of some of my favorite things. And I'm sure you guys are going to cover all kinds of math and science this week. And in fact, I've been to STEAM Day a few times and absolutely love what Klein and Friendswood does for STEAM Day. But before we get to the questions, I just wanted to show you a little bit of what it's like to live in space. And one of the common questions we get all the time is, what is it like to sleep up there? So I brought something to show you. This is my sleeping bag. I brought it out. We don't normally sleep in this room, but it's kind of like the sleeping bag you go camping in, but you got to tether this thing. So I have it bungeed up here, and because right side up and upside down doesn't really matter, you can slide in your sleeping bag, and then you just float around in it all night long. So it's kind of a lot of fun. You buckle up. We have little armholes to do, if you want to do some last minute typing, you zip yourself up in your sleeping bag and go to sleep. It's pretty awesome. Also, I got the sleeping bag out because most of Space Station is white. And so I wanted you to be able to see the next thing here. So we'll bundle this up, and this provides a pretty cool blue background. The other day, I asked Blair and Arden, I said, well, what is it? What should I show you guys? Like, what's your favorite thing when you see a video chat with you? What is the cool thing you like to see from space? And so Blair and Arden love it when they see how we drink water up here. So I moved forward a little bit. The blue background will help you see the water bubble. But we drink out of little drinking bags just like this. And you kind of open up the hatch and you drink from it. So I'll show you what it's like to have a little bubble of water in space. I think you guys can see that. We'll put that in front of the blue. It's just a little bubble, just like that. It's cool. As it floats around, you can kind of blow it around, or you can just drink it, which is a lot of fun. Maybe get a little bit closer here for you. And one of the other fun things to do is, I know everybody's got little bubble machines there at home, maybe in their backyard, but we can just, let's get it in front of the blue background. There you go. Sometimes you can blow bubbles into the water, but right now I can't get it stabilized enough. So it's really fun to play with your food and your water up here. Sometimes when we're floating around, we will be eating dinner with each other and we want to share our food. So sometimes, for example, you can see all these little jelly beans floating around in there. It's kind of fun at dinner if you have like a chocolate or a piece of food, you can just float it to your crew member and they can eat it. So we'll be at the dinner table throwing food across the table, and it's totally okay to throw your food up here. I don't recommend you throw it at home, but it's a lot of fun to float things around. sometimes too fast, and to eat them. And all this in the name of science. Most of our food comes in these little rehydratable packets, and take our food and we put it in the machine and rehydrate it. So this is freeze-dried food, this is beef stroganoff, and this is chili, which I'm probably going to eat tonight. But you can see that things kind of just float around everywhere, so I stick them to the walls with Velcro. I guess there's lots of fun things to do up here, but one of my favorite things is just to watch things spin. And so here is a multi-tool we use to fix stuff on space station, and it's just mesmerizing sometimes to just watch things spin. But if you change its shape, and this is, man, I've been to a lot of years of school, and this one really boggles my mind a lot. You can look it up on the internet, the tennis racket theorem, or the intermediate axis of rotation, but just by changing the shape. So we saw this, spinning like this, and this is something you can go look up on the internet videos later, because I don't understand this one yet either. But we changed the shape a little bit, and it spins so much different. So we'll get it spinning here, and just watch it flip, and flip, and flip. I'm not touching anything. It's just flipping on its own. It's super crazy to watch and to think about. I've spent a lot of time thinking about this, and I don't understand it yet. Anyway, those are just a couple quick demos of cool stuff we have on the space station, and it's just an awesome place to live, and I'm excited to get ready for your questions. So we'll take a...
Hi, I'm Ainsley Whitley. What kind of tests do you do in space?
Oh, there are so many tests we get to do up here, and they're enabled by so many amazing researchers on the ground that put them all together. They work for a couple years. They launch them up here to the space station, and then we get to help execute them. So sometimes the scientists or the researcher is in our ear on a radio talking to us about how to set up the experiment, and then we go do it. So for an example, I know that we've been working a lot with some 3D printers in space, some very, very special 3D printers, and we've been 3D printing cardiac tissue in one experiment. Another experiment, we've been growing veins and arteries to help people on Earth when they're sick, to help fix their hearts or their blood system. Super cool experiments. But the real experiment is us. The more humans we launch into space, the more we can understand about what happens to the human body, so that we can move our civilization to the moon and then to Mars. So there's all kinds of cool experiments going on up here. I'll take the next question.
My name is Jason Chen. What is your daily routine?
The daily routine is so awesome because it's different every day. Every day you wake up and there's a new schedule laid out for you. The Mission Control Houston team, and in fact the Mission Control centers around the world, put together your plan for the day, and you go execute it. So I might wake up, eat breakfast. I have to work out 2.5 hours a day. I do set up the experiments. I fix things. We've been loading. We have a cargo vehicle going back to Earth here in a couple of days, and we've been spending weeks packing all kinds of bags into that cargo vehicle to send science back to Earth. And so, I'm a plumber. I'm a repair person. I'm a lab technician, and I'm a human that gets to talk to you guys and explain all the cool things we do in space.
Hi, my name is Raul Gonzalez. Is time different in space than it is on Earth?
Oh, wow. We're jumping into something called, I think, relativistic physics, and that could get really complicated. The short answer is yes, but it is so small. Time is different for those based upon their relative velocities or how different they're going. So right now I'm going 17,500 miles an hour around the Earth relative to you guys on Earth, and that seems like a lot. But it is such a small part of what really matters is how big and how that compares to the speed of light. And the speed of light is so much faster. So yes, time is a little bit different, but not really measurable. Not unless you got a really fancy atomic clock.
My name is Henley Williams. What's training like?
Training Training is an absolute blast. I almost love the training as much as I love flying in space. We get to travel around the world, been to Japan, Germany, Russia, all over the United States. Spent a lot of time out in California working with SpaceX because that's the vehicle we flew on. You get to meet a lot of incredible instructors. I was thinking about it the other day. Probably have over 1,000 instructors that teach us all the things we need to know. There might be one instructor for one very specific item, and you get to spend an hour with that one person. But there are so many things on space station you have to learn about. Just in this room alone, think of all the boxes and wires and things in here. And there's an expert on each one of these things that we get to interact with. So training is a lot of data, a lot of information, and then you get to go execute it with the support of all of those people on the ground.
My name is Stephen Lewis. What is your favorite food in space?
I think you're going to find that this answer is a little bit cheating, but my favorite thing about our food is the variety of food. We have food from all the different space agencies up here. We all share food with our cosmonauts and the European astronauts, Japanese astronauts, and then Canadian food. And it's so many different types of food up here, you never really get bored. But to be honest, on my go-to, if I'm running between events, I love to go grab a tortilla. We have this smoky peanut butter, and I squeeze smoky peanut butter on it, and then I either add honey or add jelly. It's just a really nice snack in the middle of the day. Next question.
My name is Tegan Harper Lee. Is it difficult to get used to floating?
At first, it's kind of weird getting used to floating, but eventually you just learn to love it. You know, when I'm having a tough day or I've got a lot of stuff going on and there's just too much happening or I'm stressed about something, I just remember, hey, I get to float to work. Hey, I got to float, 40 feet into another node to go grab something, and how much fun is that? I mean, you saw a minute ago, I was just flipping around to go get something, upside down, right side up. It's a little hard to get used to at first, mainly because everything you have, you might have something out and suddenly your drink bag is floating away and it floats all the way down to the Russian segment and you can't find it. But it is initially hard to get used to, but I love it.
My name is Pierce Alanese, and what job would you want to have if you were not an astronaut?
Oh man, I like the astronaut job because it's so many different jobs at once. But I would probably go back to being a test pilot. I absolutely loved being a test pilot, but if you had to restrict me to something I had never done before, I think in the back of my head, I think it'd be really interesting to be a surgeon.
Hi, I'm Brenna Holcomb. What age were you when you wanted to become an astronaut, and how long have you been working for NASA?
I think I was about your age in elementary school, and I read a couple books. I remember seeing the space shuttle launches on TV, and that I had this exploration spirit. I wanted to go further. I started by leaving out, go to my backyard, exploring the parks, exploring the Rocky Mountains. Going on huge bikes, just always like exploring, going further, going faster. As part of the reason I joined the Navy and started flying airplanes, because I liked going fast and farther and exploring. So I think I was about your age when I started doing it. I'm still active duty military. I'm still in the military today, but I'm on loan to NASA. So I've been at NASA for 7 years now. In fact, we moved to Friendswood in 2017 so I could do this job.
Hi, my name is Joseph Vu. What would happen if you got sick while at the ISS?
Well, there's so many things. First, we have medical doctors and support staff on the ground that are ready to help us at any time. We would talk to them over just a video chat, just like we're doing now. Also, we're lucky enough we have Dr. Michael Baird on board. We have a medical doctor on board about 1/3 of the time we're in space. And then all of us are trained for basic medical training. In fact, I spent 1 week working in an emergency room learning how to do medical training. I spent weeks in Houston training to do medical things. In fact, up here, I do some medical procedures to include I take samples of my own blood about once every 2 weeks, and we freeze it and send it back to Earth for experiments. But if somebody gets sick, we have basic medical support on board. We have all kinds of medical equipment and training to handle those things. But one of the really cool parts is we're in quarantine the entire time. And before you go to space, you're in quarantine as well. So we don't really get cold or flu or anything like that at all. And all of our food is specially treated, so we don't really get sick up here.
Hi, my name is Landon Maupin. Can you jump on the moon?
Well, I'm a long ways from the moon right now. I'm about 240 miles from Earth, and 240,000 miles is how far away the moon is. But when you're on the moon, if you go back at Apollo, they were jumping around in their spacesuits, and they weigh 1/6 as much on the moon. So if you're 180 pounds on the moon, you weigh 30, or on Earth, 180 pounds on Earth, you weigh 30 pounds on the moon. And so you could imagine, like, you could see how easy it is for me to jump up here. I don't weigh anything. On the moon, you could probably jump about 6 times as high. Next question.
My name is Lorenzo Fushio. Why did you want to go to space?
Why did I want to go to space? Oh man, so many reasons. Working with great people, solving tough problems. I'm an engineer. I love technical things, but you don't have to be an engineer to come up here. I love exploring and figuring things out and having a new problem every day. And up here, there's a new problem every day that has to be solved. So there's 1,000 reasons I want to go to space. We could spend all day talking about that one, but that gives you the top 3.
My name's Harper McCain. How does a spacesuit work?
Oh man, I wish I could bring you a spacesuit and show you all the cool features on the spacesuit. A spacesuit is really a spaceship. For the spacewalk we do, we have to connect into it. It provides our oxygen. It gets rid of our CO2. It keeps us alive. It keeps us warm. It keeps us from getting too cold. I mean, a spacesuit is really like your own personal little spaceship, and it does so many things to keep you alive. Next question.
My name is Cohen Putnam. What did the eclipse look like in space?
The eclipse was super cool from space. I know you guys got to see one on Earth. I saw one a couple times from space. It's this big black dot. It's like a little black circle that's made by the moon and the shadow, and you just see this black shadow racing across the Earth. Our space station comes zooming over the top. We came over at just the right moment, and we saw this big black circle as our space station flew by. It was absolutely incredible.
How do you hold everything in place?
How do we hold everything in place? Everything wants to escape. We have Velcro all over the walls. You saw me with my drink bag earlier. My drink bag's got Velcro on it, and that helps hold it in place. But you know, here we keep everything in bags. This is what we call a cargo transfer bag. And so sometimes you need both hands. And so one of the things we do is we put the bag between our legs, and you'll see us climbing around the space station like this everywhere with bags between our legs. We also have Velcro on our pants. So our procedures are all on the iPad here, and we just connect it to our pants, and it stays on there just fine. So keeping track of things is something that's super hard to do up here, but we've got lots of great tools to do it.
Questions? Somebody else has another question? Any questions? I think we've gone through all the questions. Yeah.
What if you touch something? What will happen?
I mean, if I touch a bag that's floating like this, is that your question? If it is, you know, I'm just spinning this bag, and I can just push it, and off it goes. It's pretty awesome. In fact, one of my favorite things to do is one of my crewmates pretend this bag is a crewmate. They're floating by and they're not touching anything, and they don't know. I'll just kind of push them off course, and they'll careen into something else.
So what specifically is a technical problem you would have to solve on the ISS?
Oh man, I feel like something breaks every single day. Right now, today, our treadmill, the power supply system to it keeps tripping, and so nobody's able to run the treadmill today, so we're using the bicycle instead. And so Mission Control Houston is working to find out ways that we can cycle the power or go figure out. In fact, we might get a call here in an hour that says we need to go replace the power module on the treadmill so that it'll work again. And I'm sure we have spare parts on board. Maybe Houston will let me solder the power supply. Who knows?
I know we only have maybe a minute or so, but thank you so much for taking the time. What would you tell the students at Klein Elementary that are dreaming of doing exactly what you're doing? What should they do for the next few years to prepare?
Go do what you love. Go do what you love, because it will never, ever feel like work. We need so many different types of people with so many different backgrounds to come work with us in space, to go work with us on our future moon base, to go with us to Mars. It takes absolutely all types of people to do that with all kinds of backgrounds. So go do what you love. That way you'll be good at it, because it won't feel like work. You'll work hard at the things you love to do, and then you can go wherever you want in the world.
Well, we'll miss you tomorrow at STEAM Day, but we have our rockets that we'll be shooting off like we do every year, and we'll be thinking of you and want to thank you again for taking time out of your very busy schedule to answer all of these questions for our students. What do we say?
So great to hear all your voices. Thank you guys all so much for having the opportunity to do this today. Have a good one.
Great job, guys.